This book was never meant to be read by others. It is a private conversation, an emperor speaking to himself. Meditations is a collection of personal reflections written by Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. The work is not a philosophical treatise, but a series of reminders about how to live with clarity, discipline, and moral integrity. At its core, the book teaches one essential lesson: focus on what you can control and release what you cannot. What is in your control? Marcus Aurelius draws a clear boundary. You cannot control other people's actions, external events, fate, or the past. You can control your judgments, your responses, your character. Suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from how we interpret them, the impermanence of everything. The book repeatedly reminds us that fame fades, power disappears, even memory vanishes. This awareness is not pessimistic, it is grounding. It encourages us to act rightly now, without attachment to outcomes. A clear-eyed view of humanity. Marcus holds no illusions about people. They can be selfish, rude, or ignorant. But their flaws do not excuse abandoning virtue. You are responsible for your own conduct, regardless of others. Facing pain and adversity. In Stoic philosophy, hardship is not an enemy. Pain is shaped by judgment. Adversity is a test of character. The real question is not, why did this happen? But who will I choose to be in this moment? Living in the present. Meditations urges us to stop living in the past or future. The present moment is all we ever truly possess. To live well is to act with reason, justice, and calm, right now. This is Marcus Aurelius' definition of a good life. Next, we'll explore how Stoic principles apply to modern stress, leadership, and uncertainty.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to crack open a private journal that somehow became one of history's greatest guides to living a good life. We're talking about the book called Meditations. I mean, listen to this. That feels like it could have been tweeted yesterday, right? It's such a powerful idea for dealing with, well, everything life throws at you. So, who wrote it? You might think it's some modern therapist or a self-help guru. But nope. The author was someone facing a kind of pressure that's almost impossible for us to imagine. Get this. These were the private notes of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. He's jotting this stuff down in a military tent while leading his armies on the frontier. And that context is just, it's everything. And here's the kicker. This book was never meant for us. It was his own personal journal, written to himself for himself. So what we're getting is this incredibly raw, unfiltered look into the mind of a leader, just trying, day by day, to be a good person in a very chaotic world. So let's peel back the layers of the man himself. You know, we have this image of Stoics as these emotionless statues, right? But the real Marcus Aurelius, he was deeply, deeply human. I mean, think about this. Of the handful of stories we have about him from ancient sources, 3 of them involve him weeping in public. This wasn't some robot who didn't have feelings. This was a father who had lost at least 8 of his own children. He felt things intensely, but he worked incredibly hard to manage those feelings. Just look at his life. His entire time as emperor was just one crisis after another. We're talking nearly 12 years spent in military camps, sometimes 800 miles away from Rome, all while this horrific plague is tearing through the empire. And that plague, the high-end estimate is something like 18 million dead. So when he's writing to himself, you could leave life right now, that's not just some abstract philosophical idea. That was his literal, day-to-day reality. It was a kick in the pants to live with purpose, right now. And this is where character really comes into play. You have these 2 emperors, Marcus and his predecessor, Nero. Both of them were taught Stoic philosophy, but look at how they acted when things got tough. Marcus sells off the family jewels, basically, to keep Rome afloat. Nero, he blames a minority and builds himself a giant palace. It's a stark difference, right? And for Marcus, that sense of duty, that character, he credited it all to his mother, who taught him about justice and simple. So the question is, how did he handle all this chaos? Well, he had this incredible mental operating system, and it was based on a really simple but totally radical idea. It all comes down to this core idea from Epictetus, a philosopher who was born a slave and who had a massive influence on Marcus. And this idea right here, this is basically the granddaddy of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. So think about it like this. You get stuck in traffic. The traffic itself isn't bad. It just is. The part that makes you suffer is when you add a judgment. This is awful. My day is ruined. Your suffering comes from the story you tell yourself. And that's what Marcus realized. We have the power to just not add that story, to not let it mess with our mind. And this is such a great example of why a good translation is so, so important. The old one sounds, well, old. Thou needst not to vex thee. But the modern one, you don't have to turn this into something. Bam. It's immediate. It's useful. It brings this ancient wisdom right into your life today. So, okay, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. These ideas are incredibly practical, which is exactly why a 2,000-year-old diary is still a bestseller. Let's look at a couple of modern examples. Take Jerry Seinfeld. He actually uses Marcus Aurelius to deal with, annoying people. Instead of letting them get under his skin, he just tells himself, yep, this is part of the deal. People are going to be annoying. By expecting it, it loses its power to wreck his day. It's brilliant. And then there's this really moving story about the director Francis Ford Coppola. After his wife of 60 years passed away, he was inspired by Marcus's idea of honoring the dead by living out their best qualities. So he started doing something she always did, calling people who were sick or lonely just to comfort them. He's literally keeping her goodness alive in the world. It's beautiful. And this one is huge for so many of us. Marcus tells us not to be ashamed of needing help. He compares it to being a soldier trying to get over a wall. If you're wounded and need a hand up, so what? You still have a mission. Needing help isn't weakness. It's just smart. It's being realistic. And that's true whether you're in therapy or just asking a buddy for some advice. Okay, so at the end of the day, what does this all boil down to? All these private notes, all these reflections, they're really a simple, actionable guide to living. For Marcus, it all came back to these 4 virtues: justice, wisdom, temperance, and courage. They were like his North Star. Every single decision got filtered through them. Is this the right thing to do? Is this the smart thing to do? Am I overdoing it? Am I being brave? And he didn't see these as like boring rules. He saw them as protection. Think about it. He was the most powerful man in the world. Corruption was everywhere. These virtues were the walls of his inner fortress, keeping him on the right path. And here's a really comforting part. It's not about being perfect. It's not about becoming some kind of flawless Stoic sage overnight. It's just about being satisfied with even the tiniest bit of progress. You mess up, you get back up, and you try again. Which brings us to probably his most famous line. Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. The final takeaway is just that simple. Stop talking, stop theorizing, and just do. Focus on your actions right here, right now. And this is the haunting, inspiring thought he left for himself and for us. You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow. It's this incredible challenge to stop putting off being the person you want to be. So let me leave you with this. What's one small good action you can choose to take today?